We're talking today to two award-winning people that are associated with Hawaiian music. Milan Bertosa is up in your upper left-hand corner. Up on the bottom, it is Eric Lee. They are both now Hoku Hano Hano award winners. One is in Hawaii, one is in Las Vegas right now. Gentlemen, aloha.
Aloha.
Let's go ahead and talk to Eric Lee for a couple of moments because, Eric, you have a brand new recording that is coming out. Tell us about it. Tell us what the title is.
It's called Eric Lee Presents Take Me to Hawaii, a tribute to Roland Cazimero.
So, what brought this about?
It started 3 years ago, honestly, and it has to do with Milan also. Actually, Milan was the one that instigated it.
Making trouble.
You made the introduction. So I'm going to defer to Milan to start the story because he'll give you the most accurate points.
Just as I was getting ready to leave Hawaii, like within a week or two, I got this call from Doza, who was trying to put together, John Enos, who's known as Doza, a member of Robert's Halal, and he was trying to put together a tribute to Roland and some other masters of Hawaiian music who had recently passed away at the Hawaii Shell. And he was asking about music and this and that and the other, and it turned into a licensing thing because there was going to be video and music playback, and it seemed like the best thing that could be done possibly was to record some music that could be used as part of this tribute to avoid the usage hassles and legal things that would sometimes take months to organize before something that was happening in a week. I thought of Eric because Eric is of all the musicians in Hawaii, there's only a very small number, under 5, who really have digested and completely grokked the music of the Cazimeros. There are many students, but Eric, I have to say, is at a depth that, and you can listen to this record and you'll hear it. He's not copying, he's actually channeling. And I called him up and I said, hey, would you be interested in doing this? And he was like, yeah, but what do we do? It was like really last minute and there was zero budget, zero time, and no studios. Like most of the studios in Hawaii have closed down. Now there's a few cropping up. The pandemic's fixing that. But so I said, let's just do it at your house, man. Is it reasonably quiet there? And he goes, yeah, okay. And so we had to stop for the occasional vehicle, but I just took a couple of microphones and some gear, and we set up, and Eric just played everything. He did, was it 5 songs in 2 days?
Yeah, it was such an interesting experience because, for one thing, when Milan called me, he told me the situation, and already I was excited about, wow, we get to play Cazimero music. And there's a whole lot of people out there that bought 12-string Ovation Adamuses because of a gentleman named Roland Cazimero and his technique. And I'm one of those that grew up and I was jamming in the school halls, skipping lunch and sometimes classes, just jamming in a corner where, I want to be like this guy. He's kind of someone that I looked up to and a heavy influence. And so this was like an opportunity to bring to the table what you've learned all these years. And it was such a fun experience. We, like Milan said, we were on a time restriction. And we got together over 2 days, moved all the furniture in my living room, and we set up a basic home studio. And Milan brought his gear, and it was fun. There's an airplane going by, and it's, okay, stop recording. Airplane went by. And then he's like, I hear something else. I hear the humming of a refrigerator. And I was like, okay, we had to unplug the refrigerator. And I was like, okay, refrigerator's good. It's going to keep cool for several hours. We've had hurricane practices and everything like that. So it's good. So we recorded 5 songs over 2 days. We did the bass. I did multiple tracks on the 12-string, and then we did vocals. So we did 5 songs. And
we had a few guests come in.
Yes. Kanoe Cazimero came in and did a couple of cameo spots on a couple of songs. Doza, John Enos, the very man that was responsible for bringing us all together on this project, came in and laid a couple of things. And when this opportunity came, we're in a pandemic and everything is shut down. Just saw a fellow artist post earlier that this pandemic is killing the entertainment out of me, the entertainer out of me, and it's pretty close to the truth. But what do you do as artists? We're doing Facebook Lives. We can't do live performances. We can't go out on tours anymore. We can't meet the fans except virtually. So we're all stuck to Facebook performances and other things. And this opportunity, because Roland turned 70 a couple of weeks ago, him and his twin sister. And it just was like a light bulb. It's like, I have an opportunity to honor this man on his 70th birthday, an opportunity to honor his legacy, to showcase his music once again, to say that his music is living on through other aspiring artists, and to say that he's gone, but his impact is still well alive today. And so I went to approach his wife, explained to her what I wanted to do, and she gave me her blessings, and then that was it. It was green light. I got to choose one song out of the 5, and it was this one.
I have listened to it, and as a matter of fact, you'll get a chance to hear just a portion of it here in a few moments. But it really, I like what Milan said. It does channel. It really,
Yes.
really does. Roland Casimiro is someone who is really touched through his music and his being in collaborating with others, not only his brother Robert, but also in making music for Hokulea, music for Pele, music with Cyril, Henry, Israel Kamakavivo'ole back in the day, and tons of others who he has mentored. So it is such a joy. After you heard the finished product, Eric, how did you feel?
Surreal. It was one thing hearing the mixes, and that's all we had to work with for 3 years. But when we had this chance to revisit the songs, and it was funny because when I got the green light to go with this project, I texted Milan in the middle of the night. I said, I'm sorry to wake you, man, but I just couldn't sleep. I have to share these news. I got the green light to go to share one of the 5 songs. And I didn't tell him the title of the song. He said, let's meet. So we had a Zoom meeting the next day. And the first song he pulled up from the archives, it's thankful that I'm in Hawaii and he's in Vegas, but he has, because we've been working together for so long, he has all of my music files with him. So we were able to do this distance work to finish up the product. And the first song Milan chose was a song I was intending to tell him, this is the song we're working with. So already we were channeling some vibes, positive vibes. And to hear the finished product after Milan's touched it up more, us going back and forth, listening over Zoom and discussing, let's bring this up, let's touch that up, let's fix that up, let's reverb that up. And yeah, I can say the only word I can come up with is surreal, just to hear it all come together, the final product.
Milan, how did you feel? Because you've worked with both Robert and Roland Casimiro.
A lot. It felt great. I have to say, there was like, just the excitement of recording it at Eric's house was like, it was this high, and we had a deadline, you know, and I made these mixes so they would play in the Hawaii shell, which is like going to be reverby and messy. So I made these kind of dry and to the point mixes that would stand out, because I think part of it was people were going to be singing along to these songs or playing along. So it had to be very concise. And those were all the mixes I had time to do. And so that's what Eric was living with. He had those copies, and I moved to Las Vegas and whatever, life went on. And then I get this call. It was a Sunday night, I think.
Yeah.
It was a Sunday night. And Eric's, we got a chance to do this. I said, let's meet tomorrow morning. So I got up an hour before the meeting and I called up the files and I put up the mix, and it was like, wow, this sounds really good. And it was like 3 years of time away from it, and without the rush of getting it done and being over it, and me trying to load Maya and I loading our house to move. So it was like, wow, that sounds like the deal. And I just did a quick little touch-up mix. So when we had our meeting, I played it for him, and he was like, wow. So it's just very exciting. And I have to say, while I was mixing it, I did call up the original recordings, the Casimiro's original recordings, because I just wanted to be respectful of what that was. And there are certain things that happen in Casimiro mixes that, this is where this happened, and this is why that happened. And so I would jump back and forth between what I was doing and what the Casimiro thing was. And then I also had the original mix that we did 3 years ago in a hurry for the show. And at some point, I have these toggle commands that turn this track on, turn that track off, so I could compare quickly. And at some point, I botched my toggles, and I found myself mixing, just skipping between the 3-year-old mix and the current mix, and I'd somewhere lost the Casimiro mix. But I never noticed that it wasn't the Casimiros anymore, because the spirit was so strong. Eric's delivery, what the guitars were doing, it never stopped feeling like the real thing. So that was exciting to me, and it's just a thrill to be able to do something that we started it out of love, and now it's got a chance to be out there, and it's fun. It's beautiful.
And I think that's one of the goals, was not only to just perform the song, but to, and the word is channeling, really, just to capture that same drive, or as Roland would say, that same punch, that energy, that feeling that you miss about when you hear the Casimiro music. It's got that magic, it's got that sound, it's got that signature that it's them. And you know, we wanted to make sure that we achieve that through this recording. And I think working with Milan, who had the best experience working with the Casimiros as their engineer, he was the best source to go to, and he had all the resources and all the knowledge and experience to pour it in, and he did a really great job.
I remember in an interview one time in the Hawaiian 105 studios, where actually it was the KCCN FM studios, where Roland Casimiro and Robert were both in studio. Roland said, Robert, my brother Robert, is the best voice in the world, and I am that voice's best orchestra. And indeed, he is. And say, well, is and continues to be. Yes. Eric, it is exciting to hear that this music is coming out. And are you going to continue? And what is in the future? What are you looking towards?
I'm always exploring. I'm always an innovator of music. You know, I always want to try to keep it fresh. This was when I did my last album. You know, it's always, my career has always been single album. It's not anything planned. It's just happened that way. I did Crossroads, and then I ended up doing the Hallelujah single, and then I did Kawehilani, and then I took a break and hung out with the Makana Sons for a little while, and then I came back, and then I did the single with them, which was Hali'ali'a Aloha, and then I did the anthology album, and then I was going to work on another album, but then the Pauahi single came out. Everything just, it's nothing planned, it's just always happening because of a reason. And so I really didn't know what direction I was going into, especially with the pandemic. And then with Roland's birthday happening this month, it was like another opportunity to say single. And previously I did the Christian album. So I'm really hoping, I actually have been working on songs. I've been co-writing a lot with Moon Kauakahi, and hoping to come up with another Hawaiian album in the near future. I also have songs on the side for a contemporary album. So it's really like which way the pathway leads. But I'm always writing. Thank goodness I still got the writing drive going. I still got the arranging thing going. And I'm still at the same time helping other musicians as well, with people like Keone Ku. And then I got a jam trio going on for Facebook Live with Keone Ku and Keoki Nakane. So it's a fun ride. So I always have something to do.
It seems, Milan, that Eric has a lot of things coming up in which he will be texting you in the middle of the night.
Got my number. I'm ready.
We've already been talking about ways we can, record over Zoom and stuff. We're still working it out.
Milan, I got to ask, you have worked with a large number. You've worked with almost every Hawaiian music artist in the last, 30, 35 years in Hawaiian music, if not more. How do you see Hawaiian music these days?
I think it's healthier now than it's been in a while. There was that period in the late 90s where everything was being pushed to a genre that was from an island that wasn't Hawaii. And I just think that there are more Hawaiian musicians speaking with a real honest Hawaiian voice, and they're speaking about things that matter to them. And there's a lot of aloha. There's just a lot of positive feelings. I'm working with like Brandon Nakano on the Big Island, and he's doing our Kuleana stuff, that project, and the single for it. And like the guys in A&A, there's just a bunch of young and people who've been doing it for a while who are just moving forward and coming to fruition. Like Eric and I, we've been working together for well over 20 years at this point at the
Well over
minute, but
20
we've been
years.
working together intensely for about 15 years. And I'm so honored to work with a guy that applies himself so completely to being a professional and being true to who he is with respect to history and to who he is now as a person in modern society with a family and representing himself as a Hawaiian in the world. And that's anybody who's true to themselves and who knows who they are and who moves forward, you got to respect and love.
Milan Bertosa, Eric Lee here on Billy V Live. Gentlemen, thank you very much for being with us this afternoon.
Thank you.
Thank you, Billy.